Hey everyone, I presume if you're watching this you probably know me. If you don't, my name is Kyle Mattingly. I'm a student at the University of Oklahoma studying environmental sustainability and minoring in water and sanitation for health and sustainable development. Um, Part of my minor requires me to study abroad in a developing country working on water technologies, and I've been lucky enough to travel to India, which is where I'm at right now. Today was my first day, first full day in India. We've been traveling the last 2 days and really got my first taste of everything today. So I was just going to start this video blog, just kind of a series while I'm here for the next month. Hopefully update it, once a week, twice a week, something like that, unless something really special happens. So feel free to follow it. I'll try to let everyone know whenever I post a new video. That way you guys can check it out and keep up with everything that's going on. So I guess I'll start from the beginning. On the 18th, we left from Dallas. We drove down to Dallas. That in itself was a story. We left in plenty of time to catch our flights, but I-35 was closed because of the flooding. So we weren't sure we were going to make our flight, but we did, lucky enough, and had plenty of time. Really, no problems. Flew from Dallas straight into Dubai on Emirates Airlines. Emirates was awesome. Really enjoyed the flight there. 14 hours, but it didn't feel like 14 hours. It went by very quick. Dubai, luckily we had, I think, a 16-hour layover. Excuse me, Indian food, oh boy. 16-hour layover, and we booked an excursion to go out into the desert of Dubai. We did dune bashing, which is kind of like dune buggying, but in an actual car, like a 4x4 car. So that was a lot of fun. And then we got to do a little camel ride. We got to sandboard, so like a snowboard, but down the sand dunes. That was really cool as well. Then they cooked a traditional Arab barbecue sort of dinner for us. They did henna tattoos, which it's just a temporary tattoo, lasts like a week or two. And so typically you don't do it for guys, but they went ahead and did one. I didn't know that's what I was signing up for, but they did a cobra for me. So I thought that was kind of cool, but now I'm stuck with it for a few weeks probably. So let's see. But that was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that. Was a good chance to kind of get out of the plane, stretch our legs, and feel the Dubai heat. It was incredibly hot. It's hard to describe, but even the wind was hot. We were just hoping that the breeze would be nice and cool, but it wasn't. So anyway, then we got back to the Dubai airport, checked in, no problems. We learned that security in other countries is not nearly as stringent as it is in the United States. So it was pretty easy getting around. Had a little bit of time in the airport, catch a few Z's, and then boarded our flight, Emirates, to New Delhi. We got to New Delhi in the morning, and that place was stressful. The lines to get our boarding passes were super long, and it took us probably 2 hours just to get up to the counter. And then we get up to the counter, and they said there was a problem, and we had to go to this other counter and check in with something, and then they sent us somewhere else, and then we had to come back and try to, jump our way to the front of the line so we didn't have to wait an hour again. Then we get our boarding passes finally, and they say, "Oh, your boarding time is in 10 minutes," and we still had to get through security and everything. So New Delhi was really stressful, and we learned that Indian airports like to just switch gates on you, and then they'll make announcements, but you don't always hear them. And so it was a mess trying to get to our plane. But we got on our plane just fine. India Air, or Air India, I guess, flew to Mumbai. Mumbai, we had to get our bags off, recheck our bags, get new boarding passes and everything. Another pain in the butt, but it went a little more smooth in Mumbai. and then finally got into Nagpur at, I want to say we sat on the tarmac in Mumbai for 2 hours, but we finally got in like 9:30 maybe. Got our bags, no problems with bags, and driver picked us up and brought us to where we're at now, which is, they call it Jog House, like Jog House, and it's just a long-term stay hotel sort of thing. It's super nice. It has electricity. Whenever the electricity is working, uh, all day today it wasn't working, so no air conditioning, and it's extremely humid here, so inside is just stifling. But luckily it came on here in time for bed, so we have air conditioning and obviously Wi-Fi. Hopefully I can get this to upload, and lights and whatnot. So it's really nice here. We're enjoying it. Man, if I had to write down all my thoughts from today, I did bring a notebook with me, but I would never get to look up from it because there's so much stuff to comment on. But let's see. So we woke up this morning. It is Sunday. It's hard to keep track of the days when you're changing time zones and traveling for so long. But today's Sunday, Father's Day. I just got off the phone with my dad, but happy Father's Day to him again. Let's see. But we got up this morning and went to a Hindu temple, which was very interesting. It was an old British fort. For those of you that might not know, India was a British colony up until, I couldn't tell you the exact date, but the 1950s, I think early 1950s. And so this temple was pretty worn down looking, but it wasn't terribly old. But we got to go in, and there were monkeys everywhere, and everyone was really kind of freaked out about the monkeys. I wasn't too worried about them, but there were little vendors all on the little kind of walking path leading up to the temple itself. And, you know, they're all yelling at you, "Oh, monkey food, buy monkey food," and probably the only English words they knew, but you know, but we just keep walking because they're like, "No, we don't want the monkeys to swarm us." But we got in, and they kind of walked up to you, but didn't bother you too much. They had, once you were kind of inside the temple, it was partially open air, partially inside. It's kind of hard to describe, but they had the shrines set up, and it was almost kind of like a walk-up booth. And there was a priest in there, and he would come up and had a little, almost tea kettle sort of thing of water, and you'd hold your hands out and he'd pour some water, and we learned that I guess it's kind of their version of holy water, and you're supposed to take a drink of it and then take the rest of it and put it over your head. So that was really interesting, especially after just putting like bug repellent cream on, so it was on my hands and it tasted like, it was gross, but definitely an experience, definitely really cool. The Indian students that were with us, you know, took time to pray at the couple different shrines that we visited, so that was very unique and very interesting to see. It also had a good view of the village that we were in because it was up on a hill, and then the building itself was pretty tall, so they had some places where you could crawl out and look over the sides. My goodness. Then after that, we walked back to our cars. And cars, wow, that's a whole nother story. We asked Anisha, one of the Indian students, PhD students that's studying at OU right now, what side of the road do they drive on? And she said, well, whichever side of the road they want to, which is somewhat true. They drive on the left side, and they drive on the right side of the car, if that makes sense. So just like England. But traffic laws apparently have no meaning here. There's lots of honking. You think New York City or, you know, the big cities have lots of honking. Well, you're wrong. They love to honk here, but it's mostly they honk when they're going to pass someone, just so they know that that person should slide over and get out of the way so you can get around them. But if you need to pass someone and you need to go into the other side, even if there's oncoming traffic, you just kind of flash your lights and just go past them. And motorcycles everywhere, cows everywhere. If you don't know, cows are sacred in, I don't want to say in India, but in the Hindu, in practicing Hindu. So you don't touch cows. If you do, you get arrested. And so if a cow wanders out into the street, which they do very often, you just drive around them. And I mean, people are flying past these cows, and they just mind their own business, just hanging out in the middle of the road. Lots of stray dogs also. Don't pet those because they could have rabies, as much as I would like to pet them. Wow. So driving is an experience. People are just honking and flying around each other. No stoplights. I mean, there's an intersection. Everyone just kind of slows down and meets up, and then just kind of figures out who's going to go where and at what time. And it's an experience. I'm glad I'm not driving. Oh, that would be terrifying. So anyway, then the second place we went is a lake that's nearby. It's probably 30 or 45 minutes from where we're staying in Nagpur. Let's see. We paid, how many rupees was it? I want to say it was somewhere around like 40 rupees to go down and ride a paddle boat around on this lake. It's about 63 rupees to $1 US. So, I mean, it was like 60 some odd cents to do this. So, really no big deal. Everything's incredibly cheap here. We had a huge lunch. I didn't even finish it, and it cost me maybe $1.50. So prices are great. Anyway, so then we did that at the lake, and by this time we were tired and came back and had lunch, like I mentioned, at just a local place, kind of a cafeteria sort of style. And then came back here to Jog House and just kind of rested for a little while. We played some cards. We're here with some other students from Georgia Tech, and we'll mostly be working with them at the National Environmental Engineering Research Institute of India, or NERI. You'll hear me reference that. So we played some cards for a while, then we kind of napped for just a little bit, and then met up with everyone around 6 and went to Dragon Palace, I think they called it. And this place was really, really cool. That's actually just where we got back from about 2 hours ago. But you paid like $1.50 to get in the door. And then they just had all these different acts, you could almost call. There's a puppet show, a magician, dancers, guy who breathes fire. I made a clay pot. There was a potter there. Kind of like a fortune teller sort of guy who had a parrot that walked out and would pick a card, walked out of his cage and would like pick up a little card, and the guy would open it up and read it, and it would tell your fortune. So that was kind of cool because he just opened the cage and the parrot would just walk out, pick a card, and go right back in. The camel rides, there was like a tightrope walking act. Yeah, so there was plenty of stuff there. We spent several hours there, and it was a ton of fun. But it was just kind of interesting. I mean, just kind of on more of a personal note, it was kind of, I would almost classify it as kind of juvenile, that something that a small child would go and like really have a great time at. But there was something about being with the Indian graduate students that we were with, and just the other people from Georgia Tech, and just the environment that it provided, and other Indian adults that were there as well. We're just having like a really great time, and we're laughing and smiling, and it made it just as great of a time. So something that maybe the average American would find kind of juvenile and babyish, maybe. It was actually really great. It provided a really good environment, and we had a really great time. So, and then headed back here, and Now we're getting ready for bed. It's currently 10:20, um, which translates, India is 10 and a half hours ahead of um, Oklahoma time, so 9.5 hours ahead of East Coast, if that helps. Um, um, but yeah, so it's 10:20 here, getting ready for bed, have to be up at around 8. We're going to leave here at 9:15 to go start working in the lab, which I'm looking forward to. Meeting Dr. Pawan Labhasatwar, who's kind of our contact in country, and we've got to Skype with him, and we've been emailing him, but tomorrow I'll actually get to meet him, so that's exciting. My goodness, there's just so many personal thoughts that I wish I would have written down, but I know I would have just had my nose in a book writing the whole time and would have never gotten to look up. When the AC was out today, you think you like the cold side of the pillow. You don't understand how great the cold side of the pillow is until it's so hot and steamy in the room and you move your head or you flip the pillow over and it's just, oh, it's great for like that half a second that your head hits the pillow. Also, you think in Oklahoma summer it's hot and air conditioning feels great. It's just so humid, and whenever you get in and the air conditioning is working, it's fabulous. Another just small thought that I remember passing through my head today was when we were at the temple and overlooking the village. It was quiet enough at the temple that you could just hear the village and hear the sounds, and the occasional yell and just the beeping of the horns below, and it was just kind of interesting to get a big picture of what you'd been experiencing on ground level, with the different cars and the animals and everything, and just how alive and vibrant the city is, and just how different it is from here. So just to kind of get the broad perspective was really nice as well. Another thought that I had today was, as you're driving through these villages and these different towns that you come across, you'll come across some really nice houses. They tend to build up, not out. So houses, even the really nice big ones, are pretty narrow and small, don't take up a lot of space in the horizontal direction, but they're just a little bit taller and usually made of a nicer material or something. But, nice houses, really, really crummy houses, that have a tarp for a roof held up by bamboo sticks, and crumbling walls. Everyone kind of just... I know it's the same way in the United States, but everyone has their own little thing that they have going on, their own little task that they're taking care of. And, it's one question that I didn't get to ask today, but, in the United States, you're typically either doing something for your family or with your friends or your job. Those are kind of when you really break it down, those are the three things you're almost always going to be found doing. But here, it's almost just kind of like you do what you need to do so that you and your family survive and are comfortable, and not necessarily that you're not doing a job, not necessarily that you are. You'll drive and you'll see someone on a moped with just junk on the back and kind of wonder what that is. It just looks like something they pulled out of a trash pile, but it could be something that they really need for their house. I don't know, but I think that, well, first I should define this word, I guess. Sonder, I don't think it's an official word, but I've just read it somewhere. It's a great description of just kind of that feeling that you have when you see bypassers and know that they live just as complex and vibrant and different life as you, and that they have the same feeling about you. So they, to me, my world is everything. This is my own little world and how I perceive it. But they have the exact same thing. So whenever I enter it, there's just kind of that interesting exchange. So I hope that makes sense. But the sonder that I felt here is out of the roof. we get lots of stares. Nagpur isn't exactly the biggest tourist city, or doesn't get them, you know, very many white people. And so when they see white people, you know, there's um, 4 Georgia Tech students and two of us from OU. One Georgia Tech student is Asian, so I don't want to say he fits in as well, but he's not nearly as white as we are. But you know, um, 2 are redheads, 2 are blonde, and one's kind of darker blonde. I guess kind of my hair color, I guess. But I mean, people just stare. We had one man come up and take picture after picture of us with us standing right there. He just has his phone out taking pictures, and even came over and had someone take a picture with him and us together. And I thought it was kind of funny. He shook my hand for the picture, so we're standing there shaking hands and smiling, taking this picture. So it was just it's a very interesting experience. Just everywhere you turn and look, there's someone staring at you, just because they've, you know, maybe only seen a handful of white people in their life. So it's really cool. You almost feel like a celebrity because there's people taking pictures and staring all the time. But I'm sure it will probably get old after a while, but for now it's pretty fun. So, my goodness, there's just so many just interesting little details to report on. I'm sure I'll be seeing a lot of the same stuff, not exactly the same stuff, but similar things from day to day. So, hopefully I'll write some things down and be able to report on it. But if those of you who watch this have any questions, feel free to let me know, and I'll answer them. You can either comment on the YouTube thread below, or you can text me. I think I mentioned it, we were out of electricity for today, so I can only communicate back home, well, communicate period, whenever there's electricity and I have Wi-Fi. So Jog House has Wi-Fi here, as you can tell. But yeah, you can text me, you can Facebook me, whatever it takes to get a hold of me, any questions that you have, and I'll answer them on the next video. So until I post another video or talk to you guys online or on the phone or whatever, I guess namaste, and we'll talk to you next time. See ya.